We lose money on bad decisions. We're not perfect, nor do we pretend to be perfect on TV.
Do not throw money at problems that you still need to be involved in.
Your success is determined by how many tough conversations that you're willing to have and how quickly you're willing to have them.
Do not delay hard decisions.
Yes, experts are expensive, but amateurs will cost you a fortune.
A fortune.
What's up, family? Today we're going to teach you the 5 mistakes that cost us well over $1 million in cash. Not only about the mistakes, but how you can avoid them so you don't have to pay that cost of ignorance for not knowing. And you do not want to miss out on number 3, because this could put hundreds of thousands of dollars back in your pocket in 2024. So without further ado, let's get into the episode.
What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Money Show, your source for the #1 platform for aspiring melanin millionaires.
Yeah.
Carter, how you feeling?
We had a conversation last night about how much money we lost a lot with some of these decisions that we made.
Yep.
You know, probably millions.
Yeah, easily.
At least $1 million in mistakes. And again, like, you know, the best losses are the best lessons. So now we have the lesson, but like, I don't want the people to we want y'all to get the lesson without the scar, right? Because it costs too much, man.
It costs too much, right? It costs
too much.
But from a place of gratitude, what I'm most grateful about now, I don't think this could be true forever because you can't make the same mistakes. But I'm so grateful that we are in a position, because we're good steward over our finances, that we were able to afford, right, to make the mistakes. Because the worst thing could have been, that mistake put you out of business.
Yeah, that was a bet the business mistake.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't have any of those.
Yeah.
We definitely had some learning lessons, some scars.
Yeah.
That we don't want y'all to have. So we are going to get right into it. So
but before we get into it, I do want to give people what the lesson of learning. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't consider you learning from the lesson until you fix the lesson, right? Because some people that hurt, I made that mistake, and they think they learned from it. No, if you make the mistake again, you haven't learned this. Like, go back. Because some of these lessons, some of these mistakes we made over and over and over again. Like, one of these mistakes cost us this year, I did the math, like $95,000.
Right. Yep. Big facts. Yeah. To know and not to do is not to know. At the end of the day. Shout out to Kenny Conwell. Yeah. It's Kenny Conwell original, at least that's what he told me. But the first one is hiring amateurs, right? Hiring amateurs is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. Yeah. And the reason why people hire amateurs is because they think that they're saving money, right? Well, shoot, the experts said they're going to charge me the bag. I'm going to hire this person. They're going to get the job done, and we going to be okay. Yeah. And we learned. Yep. No, you will not be okay.
Yeah, and the crazy, I learned this lesson at like 23. Well, I failed at this at 23, but I didn't learn the lesson until I was 30 because I kept making the same mistakes. Right. I bought a used Dodge Challenger. The check engine light came on. I went to Dodge. They said it was $3,000 to fix. I said, y'all got me all the way messed up. Yeah. I went to Larry in the alley on the south side of Chicago. Yeah. He said $4,500. I said, bet. Boom, boom, boom. Fixed it. 2 weeks later, check engine light came back on. He told me, don't worry about it. You need to reset the code. Long story short, car overheated on the expressway. Engine lock, had to buy a brand new engine. That cost $5,000. Right. So what I learned, so I had to pay him the $500, and then I had to pay another $5,000, where the expert just cost $3,000 originally. So what I learned is that, yes, experts are expensive, but amateurs will cost you a fortune.
A fortune. Right. So so that's a big lesson. And again, here's why what I think happens with people is that you hire the amateur, right? And then because you have a heart, right? Like we're not like sharks, right? We end up building up almost dang near a family, right? With the people that we hire, and you let that get in the way of the reality that the business has a tax ID number. You have a social, I have a social, right? Like, and as individuals, we have needs, right? We have needs as people. But guess who also has needs? The business. And when you don't have the right people in the right seat running the business, guess what is going to get hurt if it's not getting what it needs from the people that are building it, right? The business. And the problem with that is, being the owners of the business, if we allow that to persist for too long, then that potentially impacts a lot more people than just the amateurs that are working there. Because what we also learned is when you have C players on a team, right, it drags down the entire energy of the entire team. Right, you hear these analogies like you're only as strong as your weakest link, and it just sounds like it sounds cool, but like I don't got no links, so I don't know what you're talking about, right? Right. Yeah. But then when you got a team and you have a C player on the team, and you have A player, they get frustrated. Yeah. Right. It's like, yo, like why is this person here? And then now they start feeling like there's no reward for excellence, and eventually they might start just checking boxes because it's like clearly excellence isn't the standard here. Why am I going above and beyond when we have people on a team that I'm having to carry their weight? Like I actually get penalized for being great.
For being as good.
Because who do you call when the amateur can't get the job done?
The person that's good. And like that is probably the biggest learning lesson that we've recently learned. This lesson in this particular mistake is that A players don't want to be on a team with C players. Right. It frustrates, like all my homies that play basketball, all the fellas listen to play basketball. You're starting 5, but your one teammate cannot play defense. He keeps getting crossed over by his man. Now you got to help. Now your man is open a 3-point line, and now he got to open 3 because 4 players play good defense, but one person can't guard, and now it breaks down the entire team. So like you can't afford. Not only can you not afford to hire amateurs because first of all, amateurs are going to do a crappy job and they're going to cost you money and you don't even know about the money that they're costing you because you never worked with an expert before. So my starting out business owners, like once you see excellence the first time, you can never unsee it. Now, how do you find that person of excellence the first time? Good luck. But once you see, you're going to know. I can promise you this. You're going to know. When you get that first A player on your team, you're going to know. You're going to be like, yo, I asked them to do this and they did this, and that. Right. And I even think about this. So you're going to know that they're different. Right. And then once you see that standard, everybody else needs to be like that.
100%. 100%. Because here's a hack, a cheat code to try to see if you have an A player, right? Delegate an outcome, not the specific task. What I mean is, I would like to see this happen, right? Given the macro, like this is the goal, this is the vision. If they come back to you and they do it better than you could have even imagined or suggest things that you didn't even think of, that's how you know you have an A player. But they come back to you and they're like, oh, I need the steps. I need like I did. Or they just stop altogether because they don't have the steps and they're not resourceful. Then you know you don't have an A player. Now, here's the truth. Here's just like the truth. You'll never have a company where every single person is an A player. But the only way you can overcompensate by that is having extraordinary systems so you can hire some ordinary people, right? But you have to make sure that you're putting that person in a controllable environment where it's okay to be an order taker.
You can't mess this up.
Right, like it's impossible. The guardrails are tight, right? Like you got like this, like you can only bounce around.
Yeah, like with the bowling alley with the guardrails. Like you can gutter, but it's bouncing right off, and you go hit a pin.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the only way to overcompensate for that. Which the good news in that is if you build a business that way, right? Like you now have built a business system and a business machine, and that it's easy to plug in different people as necessary because you have a step-by-step process, also known as standard operating procedures. But please, 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 at all costs, if you can help it, avoid hiring amateurs because it will cost you a lot of money. Yeah. Right? And that's just not good for anybody.
Yeah, and if you accidentally hire one, fire them fast, period.
Fire them fast, which is a great segue. Yeah. Into our next $1 million mistake that you don't want to make, and that is do not delay hard decisions, right? Yep. That is one of the, again, to Carter's point, that mistake, hiring amateur and delaying firing them, right? Yeah. Right.
Together, $250,000 right there.
Together, right? That was a very hard, because again, it's hard. You like these people, they're cool, they're nice people, like, but they're not getting
the job. Amateurs always got like a really good personality.
They always got a good personality. They're the life of the party because they ain't doing the job. That's why. They got all the energy in the world because they're not doing the job.
They ain't doing nothing.
Right.
But I reread the 4-Hour Work Week, and this stuck out to me because, you know, as the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I had read the book plenty of times. But
when's the first time you read? I'm curious.
2018 or 19.
Okay.
I read it every year since 20. Gotcha. I would say every year since 2018, probably. Gotcha. And different lessons stick out because where you're at in life. And it said, your success is determined by how many tough conversations that you're willing to have and how quickly you're willing to have them.
What's up, family? If it's one thing that I know is true, is that you can survive without community,
but you can't thrive without community. And in order to build true community, you have to get in the right room with the right people. And so we wanted to create that room especially for you. This is why we have Wealth Weekend. This is going to be a weekend experience where you're going to get amazing education, amazing experiences, and amazing entertainment all in one weekend so you can become that first generation millionaire in your family. Because one thing I stand on is generational curses ran in my family until they ran into me. So my question is, are you going to be that curse breaker for your family? And if you want to, you need to join Wealth Weekend. So click the link below and we'll see you there. Now let's get back to the episode. So like, not only do you have to have the tough conversations, but you got to have it fast.
Gotta have it fast.
Because every moment that it delays is costing you money.
It's costing you money, right? And you got to realize that, like, especially if you have people who are client or customer facing, like, I remember I heard this person say one time, there's like, they walked into a grocery store and they said, who's on the sales or something? I can't remember, like, it was a grocery store. Like, who's on the sales team? And the person was like, oh, this person, like, no, everybody's on the sales team, right? Everybody in this is on sales, because if they come in contact with your client at any point of the process,
make or break the sale.
Right, they're making or breaking the sale, making or breaking the reputation of the company, right? So if you have somebody who a part of what they do is client facing, like, they're a reputation of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because here's the truth. If an employee does a client wrong today in our business, if an employee does something wrong, no one's going to say, go to the public online and say, this person, I was about to say, this person
crazy
is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Right? They're going to say, George and Carter are scammers.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to think about that. And every day you delay, that's a chink in your reputation, not theirs. They're going to go on, find another job, be a C player for somebody else until they find out and fire them. Okay? But like, that's a chink in your reputation, a chink in your armor every time you delay making the hard decision. The great thing about being an owner of the business is when things go right, everybody thinks you did it. Now, we do a great job of saying, bigging up our team, but everybody's going to think that it's you. Everything goes wrong. Guess who they also think to blame? You. Right?
Gift and curse, they'll be the leader.
Yeah, so you can't delay the hard decision. At the end of the day, it's like, imagine like a hard decision being like a 10-pound weight that you hold in your hand. You hold that 10-pound, the weight never changes. You hold that 10-pound weight for 10 seconds, it's fine. 10 minutes, a little bit heavier. It feels heavier at least. 10 hours, your hand's about to fall off, right? Like, and you are not letting go of that weight, right, is impacting your ability to thrive. Like, if you think that you can focus the same way you can focus holding that weight for 10 minutes versus holding it for 10 hours, you got nothing coming. But the problem is, because it's not an actual physical weight, people think that like, oh, it's not that bad, it's on the back burner. You're thinking that it's not taking up mental bandwidth or impacting your ability to win, but it is. The analogy I always give people is like, your computer having a bunch of tabs open. Just because you're not using those other tabs does not mean it's causing a hidden drain on your computer's ability to run at optimal performance. When you don't have A players on your team, it is impacting you, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, but here's the good news, guys. Here's the good news. The dope thing about making tough decisions is after you make one, like, you are ready to make more. Like, I remember we had to fire somebody on the sales team, and I was dreading making this decision for so long. And then, like, when I finally did it, number one, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be. And then I was just like, yo, well, let me make this other decision. And let me make this other decision. Like, once you start with the tough decisions, you're probably going to knock out 3, 4, 5 in a row because it's just, you got it started. And I'm starting to learn now that the hardest thing about doing hard things is starting. Once you do it, like, it's like, oh, well, who else I got to fire? Who else? Like, you just ready to do it. So you just have to, and the longer delay, guys, it's gonna cost you money. So it's either like you're gonna not gonna make the uncomfortable decision, but you have uncomfortable pockets, which is worse.
You know, I just thought of something that we should practice going forward. Because Carter and I actually have hard conversations often, but we respect each other, so they're not really hard. It's more so just like, let's talk about the challenge, right? We should start having. We cannot conclude a hard conversation decision, or excuse me, a hard decision conversation without a date, right? So, for example, we talked about something the other day. Going forward, the conversation isn't wrapped until we say, this is the date that it's done, right? Whenever we have a hard conversation. I think that's something we should start instituting. So that way we're putting guardrails around making sure that we're acting on the hard conversation. Because like you said, you can have the hard conversation.
But if you're making a hard decision,
I know we need to do it, but like, we're going to do it one day. Like, okay, well, when's one day? No. All right, so we are in agreement that we both think this needs to change. All right, bet. when is the date that it's done? This person has to be let go. When is the date that it has to be done? Now, granted, we've grown a little bit bigger and we have HR and all sorts of things, but there are plenty of decisions that are within the realm of our power that aren't just around hiring that we can put a date to, like we do in everything, like our goals and anything else. Say this is the date that it's done, period. So that way now we're locked in, and unless we want to let ourselves down, right, we have now a commitment to that decision. So y'all heard a lot on the podcast. That not that y'all gonna be invited to our hard decisions, but we have now instituted a new policy for not delaying hard decisions. All right, so this is one that we learned that quite literally will cost you money because you're throwing money at the problem.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So do not throw money at problems that you still need to be involved in, right? Because here's what happens. Here's the great thing about growing in business. The great thing is that, like, you hear these things as entrepreneur, like, oh, I get to delegate. I get to, like, be the CEO, like, hire this person, do that person. That's cute. That's cool. And there's some truth to that. But if you want to be successful long term, you can't get so far removed from the business too fast. Right? And sometimes there's decisions that you need to roll your sleeves up and get involved in, because the only reason why you're throwing money at it is because you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, it's like not having a tough conversation or not solving a problem. It's
I'm gonna hire this other person to supplement.
Like I don't want to fire the person, so I'm gonna hire somebody else to help them do their job.
Right.
When it only takes one person to do the job, but you've hired two because you just have to fire the first one.
Right. Or I put off the system, the software that we need to set up. So now I'm having to hire somebody, a human, to do it when technology could do it if we just slow down long enough to make it happen. Right. So, but when you delay decisions, right, you just kick the can down the road. So do not unnecessarily throw money at problems. But there's a caveat to that, right? Like, don't be afraid to hold on to money, right, to solve a problem at the same token, right? Because sometimes it's like, as we always say, if you have
enough money,
if you have enough money to solve a problem, then you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, if this is painful enough, right? Like, stop sitting on it, stop trying to tinker around with it, hire the expert. Like, they all kind of fit into each other, right? Spend the money, hire the expert, and stop delaying decision on hiring the person so that you can solve the problem. Right. That literally, like, speaks to it. So, like, it's a two-sided coin of, don't be so quick to throw money at a problem just because you got it, but also once you've identified the problem, if you know that there's money that can solve it, don't hold on to it.
Yeah, and I think that here's the designating difference in that. The reason that you don't want to throw money at a problem before it's defined. And usually you're saying, I'm so busy, I don't have time to designate what the issue of the problem is, so I'm going to throw money at it, right? Like, if you don't know why your ads are not working, like, and you say, hey, just spend more money. Like, the ad sucks still, but you put more money behind it.
Now you're just burning money.
But you have to define what is wrong with this ad. Okay, let's fix it, and then let's throw money at the problem. But I think that, again, the mistake that we made is we didn't define the problem, and we just threw money at it, and it didn't get solved. Like, well, we're spending more money. Why isn't that getting solved? Because we didn't take time to define what the actual problem was.
Right. We were shooting a machine gun when we should have had a sniper on the roof, right? And again, like, here's what we give grace to entrepreneurs, right? At the end of the day, as the owners of the business, it's relying upon you to make this work. So sometimes it's just like you're doing whatever you can or whatever you think to keep this thing going, even when you don't have an answer. But again, what you think you're doing is working. The reality is you actually will save yourself by taking the time to slow down to actually get to the root of it. So stop thinking that, like, I think you actually just revealed the true thing that a CEO or owner of a business, like, can almost never be removed from until they're not a CEO or owner of the business anymore, is thinking, right? Like, it's not that you have to do more tactical work, but you might have to sit down and dig in and really figure out, like, dang, like, what is the problem here? And sometimes we try to delegate that when that's quite literally what you get paid for.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, you are the chief executive officer, or you're the CMO, or whatever your C-suite title is. Like, the one thing you can't delegate is certain levels of thinking. You can delegate some thinking if you have a great team, but there's certain decisions that just rest on your shoulders, and you got to be the one to dig in and figure out what the heck's going on.
Facts.
Right? So don't throw money at the problem, but don't be afraid once you define the problem to use
spend the money to solve it.
Spend
the money to solve it, but you can't spend the money to think.
Woo.
You know what I'm saying?
Flip that up, D. Pause.
Gospel.
I'm on it today.
Yeah.
We are in New York City.
Yeah.
We are in New York City.
Yeah.
All right. Again, what we like to do on these podcasts, and you'll see these things pan out in real time, so we don't have to get too much into the weeds, but we are only sharing things that are real life experiences for us.
Yeah, because one thing I think we as our goal is to do more, is to like you said it in the car ride over here. You said, you posted on Netflix and somebody said, "Oh, you watch TV?" You're like, "Oh, my bad, my human is showing." Right? Because people see us and other people on social media and they think that we're just machines that never make mistakes, that never lose money, that never have doubts. That no, we are human. And we make a lot of mistakes. We relax a lot, and we lose money on bad decisions. And we're not perfect, nor do we pretend to be perfect on TV.
The only thing that's different is we don't let those mistakes stop us, right? Like I will make 3 or 4 mistakes before somebody gets started, right? So that's the only fundamental difference. We see somebody winning at a really high level. The only thing that's different between you and them is they're not letting their fear of getting it wrong stop them from keep going. Right? You know how many times we started something we didn't know, we started something we didn't know. We've
almost too many times for our team.
Almost too many times, right? Like how many times did you take clients on an international trip before we took clients on an international trip? How many times did we put on a whole damn near carnival? These are all first. We don't know if these things are going to work. We just have a belief, and if it doesn't, we figure it out on the back end, right? Obviously, we're making educated guesses. But one of the things I think me and Carter are committed to getting better at is let's slow down for a second. Let's not associate slowing down to think with slowing down momentum, right? We're just sharpening the axe so we have to swing it less times, right? It's not that we're not swinging. The tree's still coming down. We just are spending a little bit more time sharpening it so that when we do swing, it falls easier, it's cleaner, and it's faster, and it's less effort. Imagine trying to chop an axe down with a dull axe. Now, we some strong jokers, so the tree coming down.
The tree coming down. God,
dog, bro, we could have did that. We could have did it easier, right? So I say that to say, one thing that you'll probably organically see is that we have decided to niche down a little bit further, right, in the people that we serve. The great news is with platforms like YouTube and podcasts and all that kind of things, that our content at scale will still be relevant for the masses. When we think about who we are uniquely qualified to serve and help, it's going to be a specific group of people. But here's the limiting belief that happens, right? The limiting belief happens.
It still happens. It happened last night.
The limiting belief that happens is, oh no, that means there's going to be a smaller pool of people for me to attract. And what if I don't get enough of those people and our business is reliant upon this source of revenue? What is going to happen? We can't afford to mess that up, because if we niche down, that means there's less people to reach. That's the limiting belief. The reality of it is people inherently seek out experts, especially if they consider themselves valuable. If you own a BMW, that's another conversation. If you own a BMW, right, and you need something to get
shade to anybody with BMW, man.
No shade for anybody with BMW. If you own a BMW, we have time sidebar talk about that. But and you need to get it fixed, and you Google mechanics near you. If a general mechanic pops up, if one says BMW or German car specialist, you're going to gravitate towards a German car specialist, right? Because you know that they can solve your specific problem, right? And the truth is, everybody wants what they can't have. So it's almost gonna be people who don't have the German car, well, shoot, they can fix mine too.
Yeah.
Right? So there's this limiting belief that when you niche down, you're missing out, but in really you're standing out because you're standing for something. It's oh, they're not saying they can help everybody. They're saying that they work with these type of people.
Yeah, and let me give y'all some context, because we do want to let y'all behind the scenes of our business. So before me and George became partners, one thing I did in my accounting firm was, at the end of every year, I niche down my clients a little bit. So I say I'm working with everybody who has a pulse, obviously, and I made, let's say, maybe $80,000 that year. Then I say I'm only working with entrepreneurs, and I was petrified to say that, because I'm cutting out all the people who don't have a business. Doubled the revenue, and then I said, well, I only work with I now only want to work with entrepreneurs in the creative space, right? So I say I want to work with creative entrepreneurs. So I niched down further, one of the scariest decisions of my life, but the business revenue doubled again. Because again, if you need to have heart surgery and there's a heart surgeon or a general surgeon, not only will you pay the heart surgeon instead of the general surgeon, you also pay the heart surgeon if he charges 2-3 times the price as a general surgeon, because I need to know if this problem is going to be solved by somebody who knows the problem. So I did every year my business double every year. And then George comes to me, yesterday, look, bro, our business is going great, but we need to niche down a little further. And I'm like, I don't want to niche down further because we leaving a lot of money on the table. And then he had to literally coach me on like my own previous experiences to remind me that this is what the business needs. Right. And so I share that with you all to let you know that, like, again, learning the lesson means that you don't make the same mistake. You know what I'm saying? So even though I did it before, I hadn't fully learned the lesson yet. Right. And, you know, now I think we're going to be fine because you got me past the limiting belief and fear. Well, at least for today.
Here we go. So should we tell them who?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
We out here can't have that. Right?
You got, because if you don't say it, I might go back.
All right, so guys, here's what we decided. Right, what we decided is we want to help the fellow world leaders build wealth, right? We want to turn business profits into personal wealth. And we say world leaders, that might sound grand to you, but what that really means is people who are always serving other people. That coaches, consultants, service providers, maybe even public figures, right? Because they're serving people because they're writing these books and they're doing all these great things and they're always giving other people things, right? And as a result, guess what gets neglected? Their personal wealth building goals, right? And then they really want to hide that because even though no one's asking them about their personal wealth building goals, there's this implicit expectation that my leader surely has, just like George and Carter aren't human, surely they have everything behind the scenes figured out. So then it perpetuates further and further. They're continuing to grow in their business. Their revenues continue to grow, but now they've ignored the tax strategy. They have a big tax bill. They haven't opened up their investment account. They have a bunch of money in cash. They don't know where to put it, right? So we realized, like, man, those are the people who really could benefit from working.
They're us. Like they're us. They have businesses that are doing really well. They have high profit margin businesses, and high profit margin businesses have big tax bills because if you're keeping 60% of the money, well, good, but the IRS is going to want 50% of that 60%. Right. So they're going to want 30% of your business, and we can help people avoid that. And I'm talking myself into it on the podcast because that means that we're going to be saying no to a lot of people. And y'all like watching this in real time. So like, it's still scary, but like I'm now trying to make myself learn the lesson so it don't cost me more money than it necessarily has to cost.
Big facts, right? So that's where we are. We're excited to incrementally roll that out over the next few months. If that's you, you know, we're here now to serve you. Another thing too that's really good about this niche is that we believe two things. One, it's going to help those leaders show up even more when their behind the scenes life from a financial perspective is cleaned up, right? Like they're going to show up authentically more, which means they're going to help more people. And then now they're going to be influencing people like, why? Like your energy is different. You just feel more like, what's going on? Well, yeah, I hired this financial advisory team and they got my finances together. I'm feeling better than ever about my business. And now I understand the importance of building wealth. We believe that our impact is now going to have a ripple effect because the person that they know and trust now is doing the work. And ultimately, those clients as well are going to now want to start building wealth and doing the right thing. So that's why we're doing it. Is this strategic? It's not just like, oh, we want to work with these people because they have a lot of money. Like we strategically believe it's going to allow us to have more impact. And because we're putting more effort into this, as y'all can see, our financial principles are still going to be relevant to anybody that wants to learn. So it doesn't mean that if you don't fit in that demographic that you can't tap in with us. Don't unsubscribe because you don't fit that mold. Like this will actually be going even harder on making sure we put out great content because we know that there's going to be a more focused. I won't say limited because then Carter might, but you said limited, bro?
Yeah, bro. I'm just
more focused group of people that we're going to be serving. And I actually thought of the fifth one while you were
I thought of the fifth one too.
Okay, so now we got six.
Well, what was your fifth one?
Not letting go, right? Basically like trying to like have too much control when you have like a great team and how that can hold you back. What was yours?
Not going all in on YouTube faster.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We can go with yours. If we have time, we'll touch on mine.
Yeah. Well, like this will be quick. So like I had a choice between being an Instagram, like building my brand on Instagram, building my brand on YouTube, right? And building a brand on Instagram is cool. You can make quick money. You can make a decent amount of money. But like Instagram is like speed dating. YouTube is like a long-term relationship. And if you build a YouTube channel and build your brand on YouTube, you make long-term, more sustainable money than trying to build a brand on Instagram because Google will help find your customers for you where Facebook wants you to pay to get in front of customers. They're two different companies that have two different ways of thinking. Right. Google is a search engine. You put out a good video, they're going to find your audience for you Facebook and Instagram, they're an ad-driven business. And I say Google is an ad-driven business, but like Instagram is going to like make you work to get in front of your audience. You could have 1 million followers. They like, good luck getting in front of 100,000 people because, it's just what it is. So I think if I had, if we built our YouTube brand a long time ago, I just know tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars more for the company. So if anybody's thinking about building a brand on YouTube versus Instagram, if I were you, I would focus on YouTube and take the clips from my long form on YouTube and put them on Instagram. But I probably wouldn't put all the focus on Instagram.
Right. Being more of a repurposed platform than a primary business.
Their primary business. Like you make a lot of money. Made a lot of money on Instagram. But it's just like, sustainability and the level of fans. Like if somebody follow you on YouTube for a minute, they love you. They
watching 10, 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, hours of
I think we had like 104. How much was it last month watching?
140 hours of watch time.
140,000, 140.
100, maybe 100. I don't know.
It was a lot. It was thousands. It wasn't hundreds.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll touch on mine. Mine is quick too. But like, as you build a successful business, you will get the opportunity to hire people to help you build that vision. But there might be things that you had to do at one point because like you couldn't hire anybody else. And so you might have an identity complex or something associated with, doing those things. But like, if you hire somebody to do a job, and especially if they're a player, one of the easiest ways to lose money is to put that A player in a box, right? And not let them thrive and truly do what they do best.
You mean what I did this whole time? Shout out to France. Shout out to France.
And not give them the space and grace to flap their wings, right? You will lose a lot of money. The person who sweeps the floor should choose the broom. Stop micromanaging A players. The moment you find out they're A player, like let them
get out of their way.
Go. Get out of their way. That will cost you a lot of money not doing it. And ultimately, it'll help you build a business you can step away from. And here's another hack of knowing you have an A player. They actually want you to do less work.
Yeah.
They find pride in knowing that they're taking ownership entrepreneurially within your company and it can run without you, right? That's how you really know. Number one, you got a good company, you got a good mission, but you have a good team. Like our team like gets mad when we do stuff. Not like because literally like we already did it or like we can do it better.
Why are you spending your time doing something that's low level?
Right. It's my bad.
My bad. My bad.
So
my bad.
We'll
I'm thinking more highly of myself.
Probably to send this to them so they can send it back to us when we mess up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just not letting go fast enough. Like you hire the expert, hopefully, for a reason, and let them do their job. Get out of the way so you can build a business that can run without you. Because remember, if you're valuable to your business, your business is not valuable. If you are the biggest asset today, you'll be the biggest liability tomorrow, right? Like, and if you want to build something that's sellable, even if you don't have the desire to sell it, you can't be the biggest asset to the business because you immediately turn it to the biggest. So what, you mean to tell me this can't run with, let's reel that valuation in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's it. Those are $1 million mistakes that we made, right? That we're okay saying. But here's the good news, and we'll end with this. You can't make $1 million if you're not willing to risk losing 100,000. You can't make 10 million if you're not willing to lose 1 million. And you can't make 100 million if you're not willing to lose 10. But Lord willing, I hope that ours is more so being willing to spend and invest. And not mistakes. Like, making the hard decision faster, right? Just spending the money and partying with it. But I don't want to make a $10 million
mistake. I'm good on that.
We already did the million. I don't want to make a $10 million mistake. So with that being said, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Again, we're going to be doing a lot more on YouTube, so we want to make sure that y'all can stay tapped in, tuned in. Let's go. Peace.